Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining the Virta webinar today. We appreciate everyone taking the opportunity and the time to learn about Virta and to participate in our Q&A, which will be at the end of this session. So today's topic is enabling production MLOps at scale. My name is Chuck Murphy. I'm part of the enterprise sales team here at Virta. Joining on the line with me that will be presenting the demonstration of Virta and our platform is Anthony Lee, Head of Solution Engineering. So for today, I'd like to go through who Virta is, who do we work with, what does Virta solve, the Virta MLOps platform, a high-level overview, and then that will lead into Anthony's part, which is the demo, and he'll walk you through the Virta platform. So Virta's mission is to bring order to enterprise AI and ML chaos. Today, we deliver MLOps at scale. We have a unique approach that's really based on three key areas. So the first is interoperability with your ecosystem. We've realized that your organizations have leveraged and invested in different technologies. So we're able to work with those technologies and allow you to utilize them rather than rip them out. The second is built for data science collaboration autonomy. So we're helping data scientists be data scientists and focus on their task at hand. And the third is providing an enterprise-grade, robust solution that is truly end-to-end. Who we are founded by the creator of ModelDB and also the manager of NVIDIA's self-driving car and the lead for Twitter's Cortex. And we have a world-class team here at Virta that's here to support you and work closely with you and your teams that come from different organizations like MIT, Twitter, Google, Cloudera, New Relic, Rancher, etc. Who do we work with? Virta works across all enterprises today. Here are four ones that we work with. So the first is a well-known collaboration platform. The second is a US chip manufacturer. The third is an AI-based marketing organization. And the fourth is an enterprise network leader. So they realize different value with Virta and putting our solution in their enterprises. So the first one, the collaboration platform organization, was enabling 30x faster time to market for their AI products. The chip manufacturer was able to enable reproducible research and collaboration. The marketing organization was able to have a 10x faster scoring for NLP workflows. And then the fourth here, the enterprise network leader, was able to realize value by enabling management of thousands of data sets and models for their networks analytics team. A little bit touching upon the collaboration platform customer of ours. So the problem they had many different ML apps across the platform for spam, recommendations, marketing, etc. They had a homegrown deployment model and monitoring system, which was 2+ years in the making. It was brittle with large maintenance footprint as well as a support burden on their staff. And their new model onboarding took 30+ days. They needed constant patching for scaling bugs and services, which created heartburn for the team and also wasted time. They also had a small team which was stretched thin to support their servers 24/7 with millions of requests per day. They were expected to onboard dozens of new models, develop low leverage versus building models. And then they also were evaluating multiple cloud solutions, but a challenge was customization and dedicated support, which was missing. When they engaged Virta, they piloted Virta for 1 month, and they were able to deploy models within a day versus 30 days. So that's a significant increase in speed in getting models into production. They were able to significantly exceed their scaling expectations, get models onto the Virta platform, as well as deliver tight integration into their existing infrastructure. Now they use Virta to deploy all their models within the platform, and then Virta sits behind the scenes to help them 24/7 to support all their deployed models. And here's a snapshot of the before and after scenario. So you can see here the workflow before Virta, getting an ML model delivered every 30 days. After getting Virta in place, they were able to do a daily update for models. So it's a significant increase. So what does Virta solve? The state of enterprise AI and ML is very complex today. There's different frameworks and languages, different platforms, different teams in an organization with utilizing these different tools. So it's hard to manage, it's hard to govern their siloed applications and so forth. So here are a couple quotes from different companies that are using us. And they were able to operate and run models outside of data science scope, one-off solutions. They had IT alarm bells. They had no control or visibility into where and how models are running. So again, that's creating a lot of heartburn for organization. And there's two key organizations or areas rather that we work with within an organization. So there's DevOps, and they really want to deliver software faster and get it out there reliably. And then the second part here is the MLOps team, and they want to deliver models faster, more reliably. And you can see here on the screen, there's the full life cycle with Virta. So from creating, planning, verifying, packaging on the ML side, and then the ops side is releasing, configuring, and monitoring. So a couple key takeaways on Virta prior to getting into the demo here. Virta provides unparalleled real-world operational and ML expertise. We are the most friendly platform on the market. We are built for data scientists first. Customer success is key here. It is very important to us as product and engineering come together. And we really want to push the fact that we are a true end-to-end solution for operationalizing ML at massive scale for organizations. So the last part here is really touching upon the fact that if your organization wants to take a look at Virta, in your environment, we provide a pilot engagement program with measurable success criteria, project prioritization, executive alignment, and really making sure that we manage the pilot to your goals and deliver the results that you need. So with that, I'd like to pass it over to Anthony to jump into the Virta demo. So Anthony, take it away.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you for that introduction and segue, Chuck. As Chuck mentioned, my name is Anthony Lee. I'll be walking through a brief overview of the Virta platform for you guys today. And again, as he mentioned, feel free to ask me any questions along the end during the Q&A, and I'll be happy to address it. So my main objective today is to really demonstrate the three main capabilities of the Virta platform for you and basically show you kind of a day in the life of a data science user in Virta. So the three main capabilities I'll be demoing for you today are first, what we call the experiment manager, second, the model registry, and then third, which is deployment. So let's go ahead and jump in. Here's a basic notebook that I'll dive into more in a little bit, but what I really want to highlight just from the get-go is that Virta is a client-server system. So because of that, you can easily integrate it with a simple Python library as seen here, where then afterwards you can start logging or registering your models into Virta while you build, train, or frankly just any time throughout your workflow process. The next thing I want to jump into is the Virta Web App. And this is ultimately where a lot of data scientists will spend a lot of their time. So all of our functionality is driven mainly by this left nav over here. So this left nav walks through a typical workflow of a data science. So if you're a data scientist, you're probably going to spend a lot of time in what we like to call this development phase. And this is where you do your training, your analysis of your runs, work, etc. And this is where I want to dive into the first topic of the experiment manager. So the experiment manager that runs within Virta is based off of ModelDB. So this is the open source project that our founder and CEO created. And we all know that preserving data science, machine learning knowledge across an organization is crucial. So let me talk a little bit about how we do this within Virta. So within Virta, first you have a hierarchy to structure your work. I have my projects here. I'm going to jump into my census income classification project, and your projects are your highest, most structure. The next thing I'm going to show you are our experiments. So experiments are basically like folders, and then you have experiment runs. So experiment runs are the most granular way we track, and you could think of an experiment run as basically one run of your script, one run of a cell, one run of a hyperparameter search. So let me jump into one that I actually ran a bit earlier. So here we capture a lot of different things on this particular run. You can see some basic metadata, run ID, experiment, project, etc. But then we begin to start capturing a lot of important things to do with your work. So your hyperparameters, your metrics, accuracy, area under the curve, anything of that nature. Attributes, which are basically like key value string pairs that I'm capturing here. Artifacts that are basically like blobs that you can store. So here you can see I actually have the pickle model itself, integration with external gets, and then data sets. Now, data sets are a bit interesting because if you think about it, if the underlying data set changes, your model is going to change as well. So Virta allows you a quick way to actually track the underlying data set that was used, and we capture the metadata behind it. So here I can see within this data set, which is just S3 blob files, I have many different versions. I can go ahead and just randomly select 2 and do a quick diff. So this gives me a quick glimpse into the data set's metadata changes. You can see here I'm running on the left, which is actually green. I have these 2 processed CSV files. On the red, I have kind of the raw. You can see the associated runs as well, etc. So this is just a quick example of what we show in terms of blob file storage, but of course, we also show you if you're connecting to like a database, the underlying query that was run. So if I jump back real quick, similar to data sets and how I was able to select 2 and do a quick diff, you can do that here as well. So I can select 2 just random runs, and I can do a quick compare. So again, red is unique to the left, green is unique to the right. I can see what's different. And obviously my accuracy is different. Why is it different? Maybe because my data set's different. My model itself is different, etc. So just a quick way to give you a glimpse into the changes of some of your experiment runs. So being able to quickly compare 2 runs is great, but when you're building a model, there's typically, hundreds of runs that you want to do. So it's important to see a quick glance of what has changed. So we can do this through quick charts. So here, there's this tab of charts where I could just slice and dice this however I want. So I can select, like, for example, I want to compare my training accuracy, validation accuracy. I can see it in bar charts, etc. So just a quick way for you to just, again, slice and dice this however you want. And I can save this. I can share this with others, etc., etc. So now I've showed you, what we log within Virta, the web app, but let me actually show you how we actually do this. And I can do that by jumping into this notebook. So let me jump into my notebook and tell you a little bit more about what's going on. I do want to quickly mention this is a local Jupyter notebook I'm running on my laptop, but you're really not limited to that. So we're really agnostic of where you do your data science work. So this could be like a on-prem Domino instance. This could be a cloud Databricks. It really doesn't matter to Virta. We are open and agnostic. So here you can see I'm just importing some libraries, instantiating the Virta client, pulling some data, doing some basic feature engineering. That's great. Preparing some hyperparams. So because this is actually a logistic regression, I'm setting my C values, max iterations, whether it's balanced or not. And then this trained model cell, this is really where it gets interesting, right? So things that you could track within, things you could track through the Virta package is really what I mentioned earlier, which are like the hyperparams, key values, which are the runs itself, accuracy, custom metrics, deployment artifacts, which are like the serialized model itself, training data, code as well, etc. So you could definitely track a lot of things. We're really flexible, and we also plug into a lot of the big frameworks out there, whether it be, PyTorch, TensorFlow, etc., to pull up a lot of their metrics as well. But ultimately, when you run this cell, I won't run it for the sake of time, but this is a sample output. So you see it creates a new run, etc. And then this is where it uploads all the artifacts. And then when this is complete, it will actually appear here as a experiment run. So that basically is an output. And then the last thing I want to talk about is I showed you how you can visualize it basically within our web app, but a lot of our customers realized, hey, they want to do their own type of analysis. They want to be able to visualize it in some external BI tool. So you definitely have the capability of querying our backend as well. And here I store it as a pandas data frame where you can then export it and do some additional analysis if you like. So to quickly summarize Virta's Experiment Manager, this is really the ability to provide reproducible work with deep tracking that helps ensure the reliability of ML models, easy audits of data analysis, and ultimately trying to help enable collaboration and visibility. So now I would like to move on to the second pillar of Virta. So I've developed, trained a few models. I'm ready to put them into production. So imagine that we've logged 100 or so jobs as exploratory experiment runs. We finally come upon a couple that would really stand out from the rest. So this is where I want to make use of Virta's model registry, which is basically a centralized storage staging area for your production model. So think of it almost as a handoff area between your data scientists and your software engineering or IT team. So again, let me quickly walk through the second main pillar of Virta, which is the model registry. By being a collection of registered models, any model can have any associated number of versions. So you can register as many different models as you're working on, and you could just upload the desired one into this ecosystem. And both the web app and the clients allows you a quick, easy way to create a registered model from an existing run. So let me just jump into version 1 of this census model that I've uploaded into the registry. You can see we capture, similar to experiment runs, a lot of the metadata, the attributes, the artifacts, et cetera, et cetera. And one reason that we do this is because this particular registered model was actually promoted from an experiment run. So here I can actually just click and drill in, and you can see this was the screen that I showed you earlier where I can get all this information about this particular run. However, one thing that is unique about the register model is the life cycle and stage. So this is a quick way to enable collaboration between teams. As a user, I can quickly see the status of this particular version. If I want to quickly promote it from, say, development to production or staging, I can go ahead and do that as well. And down here at the bottom of my screen, you can actually see the activity that corresponds to this particular version. And note that this version is actually waiting for someone else to approve it, because obviously I can't approve my own model. Let me quickly show you how to do this on the client-side notebook as well. It's pretty straightforward. Continuing on with this workflow, I've run a bunch of experiment runs, retrieving the best run, running it on a full data set, calculate the accuracy. Then from there, I can call the Virta client. I can call that a census model for the model registry. And then here is where I can promote a particular run, the best run ID, into a new version. So I could just name this version 1, version 2, et cetera, et cetera. So to summarize real quickly the benefits of a model registry, being able to manage production-ready models, enabling automation of external CI/CD pipelines if you want, once you have this trusted staging area, and ultimately being able to centralize governance of models and providing executive visibility into what exists in their current status. So beyond this, and moving on to the last part of the demo, I want to talk a little bit about deployment. So Virta offers also a solution for the next steps after staging. So for example, if Virta automatically packages your model so you can publish either directly inside Virta or into any other external deployment method. Here in my notebook, I just want to show you real quick. I'm actually downloading that particular register model into a tarball. So this is basically a containerized fashion. I can go ahead, it has all the information, all the dependencies that you need, and I can go ahead and push this elsewhere, say like SageMaker, for example, and this is where I can go ahead and start some of that integration. But moreover, the Virta platform itself can host and serve your model as endpoints. So let me jump back into this register model I have, and I scroll down into this endpoint section. The big benefit here is that Virta provides a simple yet also configurable way to deploy these models. So once you have this register model, let's say this was actually approved, I can actually go ahead and deploy it. We have two quick ways in this web app. Right here, I have a quick deploy and a configurable deploy. Quick deploy sounds pretty straightforward. We're just going to go ahead and spin up a container and then load it up in we're backed by Kubernetes, so we could go ahead and spin up a pod and then have people actually start inferencing it. And then configurable deploy definitely provides more configuration. I'll jump into that in a little bit. Let me actually show you an existing endpoint that I started earlier and talk a little bit about what actually happens when it's spun up. So as you probably know, again, endpoints are just URLs, right? So they're static URLs where a model is hosted and backed by, again, in Virta's instance, a Kubernetes services with pods, auto scaling, high availability, security, et cetera, et cetera. In terms of security, an endpoint also allows you to create access tokens, right? So access tokens allow you to control and limit who actually is allowed to send inputs to this endpoint by providing a token as a header. And once this deployment is complete, the endpoint is ready to serve predictions either directly via API or through the client. So jumping back into my notebook, if I scroll down a little bit, here I'm actually going to go ahead and just see what registered model I have. And I'm going to begin to start calling. So just sending it some sample payloads right here. If I jump back into my web app, some things I'm able to do. First, I could be able to monitor. So we do a couple things in terms of basic monitoring. So here are just some stuff like the latency, the throughput. Will eventually see, oh, there goes a big spike because again, I'm calling it through my client side Jupyter Notebook right now. So this is just some things that we track. But if I want to do some more advanced configuration, I can do this in my updates section. So for example, a couple things. Virta enables a convenient way to update a model already deployed at an endpoint using the same interface. So here I could select the source of it, the particular model version, and then the build ID, etc. I could specify the deployment's auto-scaling boundaries, rates, and also metrics that would trigger it. We do automatic auto-scaling. It's very verbose, but if you want to have some boundaries, you can do that as well. You can do basic resource allocations. And then lastly, the update strategy. So we provide two ways of doing an update. One's a direct rollout, which is just a rip and replace, but then also a canary. So the idea behind a canary rollout is rather than replacing the entirety of an old model with a new one all at once, Virta will progressively bring down portions of the old one while also replicas of the new ones are being gradually created, and then we can switch traffic. So this can be all set both within the web app and the client. You can specify, how often you want this rollout update to happen and what proportion of the deployment you want to switch over at any point in time. So lastly, to summarize, Virta's openness not only allows you to promote registered models externally to other deployment options, but we also provide a simple yet advanced way to allow users to seamlessly deploy their models as an API endpoint within Virta, yet still providing strong, flexible, technical granularity. So yeah, that concludes my demo today with the three main pillars. And the last thing I would like to end you with is in a couple of weeks, we'll be announcing a big announcement into our fourth main pillar, which is our model monitoring. So stay tuned for that. Thank you, and definitely want to open this up for additional questions.
Thanks, Anthony and Chuck. That was a great presentation. We do have a couple of questions from the audience, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. We are very interested in doing a pilot with Virta. How do we get started?
Good question. So yes, we can absolutely do a pilot for your organization. What we do is we will talk through your current expectations, your needs, your architecture. We have measurable success criteria that we'll put together with your team. We'll come up with a project prioritization and executive alignment, and then we can support a formal evaluation of the platform. The Virta team will also evaluate, how our solutions align with your objectives. So absolutely, we can do that for you. Good question.
Great. Let's see. Since we're new in our MLOps journey, can we start with experiment management and model registry and then add deployment and monitoring?
Yes, absolutely. So we have a lot of organizations that are new in their journey, and we absolutely can work with you in starting with those areas, experiment management, model registry to get started. And then you can grow into deployment and monitoring down the road. So short answer is yes.
Awesome. Let's see. And what is the best way to get in touch with you? Do you prefer LinkedIn or do you prefer email to start the process of a pilot?
So we have on Virta.ai, www.virta.ai, you can contact us, fill out a form, and put those credentials in. You can also connect with us on LinkedIn. All of us have LinkedIn profiles. In fact, in this web session, both Anthony and myself, this is Chuck, our links are up there for LinkedIn, so you can request to connect. And then you can also send an email to me, cmurphy@virta.ai.
Perfect. Well, I think that's the questions that we have for the day. Did you guys want to wrap up with some final thoughts?
Anthony?
No, I just want to say I appreciate everyone joining. Yeah, feel free. I know Virta spans quite a wide platform, and there are definitely a lot of places that we integrate, especially in a typical data science MLOps life cycle. So yeah, feel free to reach out if you have any questions specific on how we integrate with particular components your organization may have. And yeah, thanks again for your time.
Great, thank you. And also keep an eye out. We're going to be doing a webinar coming up on our monitoring solution. So that's going to be coming up, I believe, in June, towards the end of June.
That's correct. And we'll be sure to include a link for that information in the follow-up email that everybody will be receiving. You will be getting an email that has a link to the on-demand of this webinar as well as a quick survey. And we'll include the information so that you can go ahead and register for the next event.
And then also just to add, Stephanie, under on Virta.ai, if you click on resources, there's information on docs, the community. Also, that's another point. Join our community on Slack channel for Virta. You can correspond with colleagues at different organizations and who are using Virta and so forth. And then there's also a link to upcoming webinars, pre-recorded webinars. And then we also have a blog there that you can tap into as well.
Perfect. And yeah, if you want to join the Virta Slack, there is a link here under the resource list. I am personally on the Slack and I quite enjoy it. Some great information sharing and just instructions and information in general. So I highly recommend that you do join the Slack channel. So wonderful. Well, thank you very much, everybody, for your time today. We appreciate you joining us. Again, this will be available on demand later this afternoon if you wanted to come back and rewatch. And please feel free to reach out to any of our team members, and we look forward to speaking with you soon. Thank you and have a wonderful day.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Thank you.